Chucky Lad. This is part 2 of the 4-part series coding lychee waypoints at Deep Creek Dam. In part 2 we're going to have a look at the app. This is the app that's running right now, the Lychee app on my Samsung S7 Android phone. As you can see, I have the histogram and the grids on all the time because I use those with filming, which is a different discussion altogether. Now, when you start the Lychee app, I call it Lychee, whatever, you need to log in. I'm already logged in. You can see just here. No, I don't want to. You want to log in? No, I don't. So I'm logged in, and it automatically opens in FPV mode. Now, just so people know, FPV doesn't mean goggles. FPV means first person view, which means that the signal's sent from an aircraft to some sort of device where you can control the flight from there. Now, whether that be a phone like I've got here, or whether it be goggles that you've got wrapped around your head, is a different matter, other than the goggles aren't legal unless you're within some sort of a flying club, because you're supposed to have direct eyesight of the drone at all times. Anyway, FPV is the standard mode, and that's what it initially, the app starts off in. We're going to actually click the waypoint mode because, as we've already discussed, that's what we're doing. It's waypoint flights, and you'll see down here on the left hand side we have all the mission controls. And the mission that should be saved over here is the reservoir. Let's have a look. There it is there. That's on there automatically because I've logged in, and it's linked up with the Lychee app on the net. We'll load that up, and there's that flight. We'll just make it a bit smaller, that we've coded in on the mission hub. Pretty much ready to go. Just a couple of things to do. Number one would be to go into the settings and make sure we're happy with that. In my case, metric's fine. I don't show the battery voltage because there's also an indicator of battery strength and how much battery's left, so it just clutters up the screen. I don't leave the GPS coordinates on the screen either. The rest is fairly self-explanatory. I don't need to change anything there. We'll go into the camera. As you can see, it's on auto record. I'd advise you definitely to leave it on auto record. I have show camera controls, and I have them turned on, and I have the histogram turned on because I use that when I'm setting my exposure as a function of the frame rate and the resolution of the video that I'm taking, and how much light there is in the day. But as I say, that's another issue, and that's where you can have your grids turned on. The rest of it's nothing particular. Go into the aircraft, that altitude and maximum, go home altitude and maximum altitude, the Lychee app is picking them up out of your DJI Go app. So whatever you've got set in the DJI, that's where you set that in your DJI Go app, which is on your phone. And then if you're running the Lychee app, you need to go into the app permissions and tell DJI Go that it doesn't own the world and it shouldn't just take over. I forget what you'd actually say, but you take permissions away from it. So as when you first connect the controller up to your device, Android device, it'll give you the option of either starting DJI Go or Lychee. So that picks those two altitudes up from DJI Go. I don't have a dynamic home point. That means that the home point changes depending on where the controller is. I don't want to do that. Signal loss behaviour, I want it to return home at 80 metres high, the go home altitude, so it's pretty safe. Collision avoidance turned on. Vision positioning system, I'm leaving that on, but if you're flying over water, in this case it's only just a little tiny bit of water and at a decent height, so it doesn't matter. But if you're flying over a lot of water, i.e. the sea, and down low, I think about 15 metres or any lower than that, then the vision positioning system comes into play. And if you're flying over water, you can muck your phantom around a little bit and can go a bit crazy. So if you're flying over a lot of water, I'd certainly advise you to turn the vision positioning system off. That's the sonar down vision. But if you're other than that, I would leave it on because it's a safety issue. So you calibrate your compass. The air data thing here, that's a link where you can upload all of your and that failed, that one. That's because I haven't got Wi-Fi turned on there. But basically, once you've done your flight, it uploads it to air data, and that has a record of all your flights and give you lots of good information and feedback on your flights. I don't have, that's just in follow mode, just nothing. Those aren't particularly important at this stage for what we're doing. Speech is just the feedback about different things. I only have speech turned on for battery feedback when I get to the critical level. And the keys, definitely worthwhile having a look at those and making different settings for the C1 and C2 buttons on the back of your controller. I have different functions and whatever for different things, but that's nothing to do with what we're doing at the moment. So the settings are fine. All we really need to do now, on the day, once depending on the conditions, I'll also set my camera settings, but I don't do those on the app. Well, I do them via the app. I do them off the controller by the right-hand scroll button. If you do a long press on that, that shows up here on the app. It shows you your what's that show? It shows you your frame rate. No, it doesn't. Let me see. It shows you your exposure. Yes, that's what it does, and your shutter speed. And you can adjust the exposure. Try and get that down to 100 using that histogram. This histogram here. This histogram. You need to get those ridges into the middle. It doesn't matter here because I'm inside. But basically, once you do the long click, you can then do a short click and select between the shutter speed. You can select the shutter speed and just roll the wheel up or down. Click another short click, and that'll give you the exposure, and you can adjust that with the wheel. That's basically how I do it. Other than that, we just need to go and have a look at those altitudes. Now, we've already set the altitudes there. You can see waypoint 270, waypoint 3 is 120. If you wanted to be really sure of what's going on and you weren't going to hit anything, you can bulk change those waypoints. You select that spanner, that tool button there, the select button. Down the bottom you see that you can select all, and now you notice all of the waypoints are selected. You can deselect waypoints if you want to leave them at certain heights, which is terrific, of course. Basically, you go in and edit. Let's make just all the waypoints 70 meters roughly. There you go, 64 meters relative there. Relative, you can go. It can be relative to the home point, relative to where you are at the moment, or to where the controller is at the moment, or to the ground. And we'll go to the ground. So you see the altitude 64 meters relative to the ground. So it should always be 64 meters above the ground wherever it is, which will clear any trees or what have you. We'll save that there. And that's pretty much it. She's ready to go for part 3 to take the Phantom out to the dam and to fly this mission, and then we can have in part 4 we can have a look at post-production and overlay of gauges, etc. Please hit that thumbs up button, the like button. That's important, it helps. And subscribe if you like, and if you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell, and that will mean that any new videos that I upload to YouTube, you'll get notified of that. I'll see you in part 3. This is Chucky Lad. Check you later.